Good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining us this morning. My name is Carol Hall. I am the representative for the 59th District, which encompasses Enfield and part of East Windsor. We're here today to announce the putting together of a school working security group. I'm going to read my statement, and then my good colleagues will each have a statement to read as well. So, over the last couple of weeks, in the aftermath of the Parkland school shootings, there's been significant amount of talk about school security amongst legislators, educators, students, and parents. With that in mind, we felt it appropriate to convene a working group to look at school security. We intend a robust evaluation of the effectiveness of the school security-focused legislation and programs, as well as a canvass of current attitudes, concerns, and trends in the hardening of our schools. Among the working group is as follows: summarize current school state legislation, measure school districts' knowledge of this past legislation, availability and use of state and federal funds, review whether regulations and associated programs have been implemented, the availability of school-based mental health professionals, parents' knowledge and understanding of their school district security measures, local educators' view of the effectiveness of the legislation that has been passed and the related programs, determine viability of school security measures installed years ago, identify new trends, technologies, and strategies in school security, collect recent concerns of educators, students, and law enforcement, and determine what other states are doing, what's worked for them, and what they feel hasn't worked for them. We want to reach out to our district's law enforcement, teachers, superintendents, and students to get feedback on what has been done, how things have changed, and what they still feel needs to change. Among the working groups that we are proposing for participants are Republican and Democrat legislators, school superintendents, law enforcement personnel, mental health professionals for children, federal agency liaisons, school security and consultants, students, and parents. Who are we? Again, my name is Carol Hall. I was one of the founding members for the Enfield School Security Committee, whose district was a model for the approach for many of our school districts in the state of Connecticut. One of we have 4 members that are part of this group. Gail Lavielle is not here today. She actually had an in-district function. She's the ranking member of our education committee. We have Representative J.P. Sredzinski of Monroe, ranking member of Public Safety and Security Committee. He is a dispatch supervisor whose career has been in public safety. I'm also joined by Representative Brian Ohler of North Canaan. He is a school security expert and a military police veteran. Today, we are inviting our Democrat colleagues to join this initiative. We hope this working group can become permanent so we can assure our school districts are getting the best resources and guidance from their state. And we must remain vigilant to ensure our most valuable assets, our children, are protected. And I'll defer to my colleagues, and thank you once again.
Thank you, Carol. As she stated, my name is J.P. Sredzinski. I'm the state representative for Monroe and a portion of Newtown. My career has been in public safety. I am currently the 911 dispatch supervisor for the town of Stratford, and I am the ranking member on the Public Safety Committee. The question that Connecticut needs to ask itself is, are we doing everything we can to the best of our ability to keep our students safe at school? Last week, I had the fortune of participating in one of the many school walkouts that you saw. In my district of Monroe, instead of doing a walkout, we had an informational forum where students gathered in the gymnasium and questions were asked. Superintendents, teachers, the police chief was there. I was there as a legislator. We had our first selectman, superintendent. And there are students and parents who are concerned that we could be doing more. And it's important and it's incumbent upon us as a legislature to make sure that we serve the people that we're up here representing and that we do everything we can to ensure safety. I think Connecticut is doing a good job, but we need to make sure we're doing the best job, the best possible job. So this working group, as Representative Hall said, is going to look at best practices. It's going to look at security. It's going to look at all sorts of ways we deal with discipline and issues within the school. And I think it's something that we can do on an ongoing basis to make sure that we are doing the best job for our students and to give some parents the peace of mind that their children are being thought of, their safety is being considered day to day. With that, I'll turn it over to Representative Ohler.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Representative Brian Ohler. I represent the 64th House District, which are the 9 small towns in the northwest corner. A little bit of my background: since I was honorably discharged from the U.S. Army back in 2013 as a military police veteran, I took that life experience and that knowledge to apply it here back home and turned that into school safety consulting and in any facet that you can really imagine. After the tragedy at Sandy Hook, there was a need to get into our schools, whether it be urban or rural, and really modernize their response plans and make sure that each first responders' plans were more seamless and cohesive, because what we first identified was that when there was an emergency, whether it's fire, medical, or God forbid, a mass shooting, we realized that each first response agency was reacting and responding in their own separate way. Nobody really knew what each other's roles were. The fire department had their role, EMS had theirs, police had their own, and it was vastly different. But over the last 5 years, we brought everyone together to the same table. We've created safety committees, and we've tried to be as open and transparent as we can with each other, because as we know, response plans and timing is of the essence in any emergency. So coming to the legislature and realizing that a lot of my colleagues, we have a lot of the same background experiences and vested interests, and we wanted to create this working group so that this discussion isn't just reactionary to a school shooting or any incident globally or nationwide. This discussion needs to be ongoing. We need to have this working group look at every area of school security, whether it's medical, educational, security-based, you name it. Looking back at what has been a result of 2013 and all of the legislation that was passed, the Connecticut State Police formed a critical infrastructure protection unit. And it was billed as the latest and greatest model for school security, risk assessments, any type of mitigation that you can. If you're a superintendent or a principal, you are to call this unit and they would send troopers out to conduct these assessments. However, what we're finding, and according to a very high-ranking official within the state police, as of December of 2016, this unit is essentially defunct. They eliminated the staffing for that unit. They reassigned them across the state because of staffing shortages. I think that's a huge disservice to our schools, who are actively trying to be as proactive as they can when they're calling this unit for troopers to come out and do these assessments, only to be told that, ma'am or sir, we don't have the staffing at this time. We'll get back to you when we have that. It's just absolutely unacceptable. So we have all of these mandates that were put forward, but what we're seeing is that a lot of what was put forward isn't being implemented or isn't being utilized to its fullest extent. Coincidentally, 2 weeks ago, according to the same official within the state police, that now a sergeant has been reassigned to this unit. So one individual who is not trained in school security, they're being sent to Georgia to conduct a 2-week training class to come back and hopefully be a train-the-trainer and teach other troopers how to effectively do a school safety assessment. And here we are 5 years after Sandy Hook, and unfortunately today we're seeing another shooting in Maryland. All of our agencies need to be as ready and mobile and effective as possible, because when our schools call, when they need something, we as a state need to give them the best tools and resources possible to do that. And in my 12 years in the Army, I served in Iraq and Afghanistan, and as a military policeman, we were charged with training the Iraqi and Afghan police, and we did a lot of school safety assessments over there. And they were hardened facilities, but at no time did we try to over-expect what the teachers were supposed to do. There was a role for first responders, even in a war zone. So in collaboration with my colleagues, I'm grateful to be asked to be on this committee, and I think going forward, when we bring in every subject matter expert, ranging from first response to education, medical, psychologists, you name it, this needs to be a holistic approach, all hands on deck to keep having this conversation. So I think my colleagues are here today, and I think we'll entertain any questions that you may have.
Brian, you mentioned a number of shortcomings. You said you think from the state response. Without that, I guess that task force or whatever it is that you described with state police, do state police currently have no role then when it comes to school security at all, or do they have another role in addition to that call that could be made for a school security assessment?
It really depends on the city and town. If your city is covered by a municipal law enforcement agency, they might have that capability. But for a lot of our towns, the 169 towns in the state, we rely on the state police. And what we've seen in years past, because of budget shortages, the resident trooper has been eliminated. School resource officers, unfortunately, are the first to go when budgets are tight. So we're losing that connection where law enforcement officers once had a presence in the schools. They were building that relationship with the students and the teachers. They had that level of trust where, if something was out of the norm, it could be addressed to the trooper who was there, real time. But now that they're out of the school, and this unit who is charged with school safety and doing these assessments is essentially defunct, if I'm a principal or an administrator, I may not know where my next step is because I've just been so reliant on the state police. But if they're incapable of doing that, then they may not know where to go. So that's our job, is to create that open line of communication once again.
You guys say you're looking to work with Democrats. Are they invited to this event specifically today or no?
So this was our organizational press conference. The press release that you have now, that is now being sent to all 4 caucuses, and we are urging colleagues from each side of the aisle to join.
Just a really quick comment. We have been reached out to by fellow Democrat colleagues that have expressed interest in being involved in this working group, along with members of our own caucus as well, of course.
And is there anything else that you got? Obviously, you're starting a working group, but you know that you have ideas on certain things that you want to change going in. Is there anything else that you can pinpoint as far as what you think a shortcoming is when it comes to school security, whether it's in rural districts or urban districts or suburban, any of those?
I can just speak. So one of the things that came to our attention during an appropriations meeting was after Sandy Hook, in Public Act 13-3, there were school reports, safety reports that need to be filed with DESB. We asked the question about what happens to those reports, and we were surprised, at least I was surprised, to find out that there's not much being done with them. I think we could do a better job about information sharing, about coordinating with other districts. I happen to be from Monroe and Newtown, 2 of the safest schools according to a recent release. However, like I said in my opening statement, we have an opportunity to always continue that progress and also to share that information. So if a school in New London can learn something from the schools in Monroe, then we should do that, especially if it's something it's just a matter of just information sharing. And if there's something Monroe can learn from another school in Danielson, then we should be doing that. This is something we should be doing, working together, getting out of our collective silos to make sure that we're doing the best job of protecting our students.
And just to add to that, we all feel that security is a fluid plan. It's constantly changing according to the school's needs and what the actors have become. So it's something that it needs to be looked at continuously. It can't be put on a shelf and forgotten about. And I think that's the message that we're getting. We don't want our plans to be checked box, walk away.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for your time.
Thank you.